I mean, in every way, we wanted to be self-reliant. So if we were self-reliant and still reliant on Karl Marx for understanding, our predicament, then we weren't very self-reliant because he was German, Jewish, whatever, white anyway. But through Siva, we then got introduced to actually reading our own people. I mean, from those small beginnings, we went back to Faiz Ahmad Faiz. We went back and read stories from India and revolutionary stories. We start to understand that some of the Hindi songs that our parents sang, right? Like, I mean, I can remember one that my mum and my dad used to listen to all the time, and it went something like "Kal ki baat purani hum Hindustani," and it was it was saying, yesterday is an old story. We're Indian, or Hindustani, and yesterday's an old story, and it was about freedom and so on. So we were suddenly able to, say, right, oh, that actually can belong to us, without us feeling that we suddenly become Indian, because we don't, or we lose our Indianness because we're here in Birmingham. And we were able to go from that to Charu Mazumdar and understand what Naxalbari was and so on, and actually contort these things into black power. Right? I mean, I don't know if Naxalbari ever meant to be, part of the black consciousness process, but for us it became that. So as we looked at the IWAs and tried to dialogue with them, tried to discourse with them, we tried to suggest to them, actually, your Naxalbari sounds awfully like black power to us. And then we discovered things like Subhash Chandra Bose, and he's my enemy's enemy's my friend, and and the Brits had just told us he was a fascist apologist, and we didn't need any affiliation with him. And if we wanted heroes, then the heroes would be Gandhi and Nehru. Nobody told us, actually we can find our own heroes in the form of Bhagat Singh, or Lala Rajput Rai, or Charu Mazumdar, or our very own. Because that's why the calendar came out. In a sense, the calendar represented the movement we made. Udham Singh, became our very own hero. And I mean, there's nothing that more disappoints me in the 21st century than to think that whenever I go to Vancouver now, there was a similar martyr in Vancouver called Meva Singh, and there's a big statue erected in his honour by the Sikh communities of the Fraser Valley. But nothing here in the UK around Udham Singh, and yet the AYNs resurrected him momentarily, and Bhagat Singh and so on. And I mean, I suspect my children know less of these people than we knew, right? And it's because initially Siva gave us the right to join up the dots, to allow us to be moments in time, that included, atomization from an Indian village to a Brahmi, neighbourhood, and that was that was pretty effective in giving us a sense of we'd actually arrived. We could now organise in a proper, give ourselves a name, call ourselves what we are, Asian Youth. And I think by that time it was Asian Youth, because the black didn't work, and it didn't work because we didn't. The ghetto experience of segregating communities had started, so Caribbean communities were living elsewhere and doing other things and fighting other struggles. And we also had this belief that genuine alliances, instead of the mythical alliances of the trade union and so-called labour movement, we would make genuine alliances of communities, and they would come out of people engaged in struggle against a common enemy, and making alliances out of dignity and respect, not out of